Okay guys, getting ready for the third stop of the National Walleye Tour was Devil's Lake. I was excited. Mike had been out there a little bit. He had pre-fished some areas. He had caught some nice fish. He wasn't catching a ton of them, but they were nice ones. So he had been out there, so I was pretty happy about that. And then Mike and Robert basically said we need jigs and crankbaits. So the guys at the shop and stuff, we whipped up like almost 500 jigs is what we ended up doing. Mainly in two different colors, chartreuse and orange is what we kind of went with. So going in, I was pretty excited to see what we could do, if we could do some damage in this one. We're pre-fishing here. We just pulled up on a spot, slip bobbering. We popped, this is just short of 5 pounds, 468. We measured it and weighed it. We're gonna get it back, but one of the things about pre-fishing is we got Hoyer that's about 200-300 yards on us. And you can almost feel his eyes burning through you as he's trying to stare and look and see what we got. So we're gonna play a little game and try to not let him see the fish and get her back in. That's part of free fishing, so we'll see what happens. So going into the first day of pre-fishing, Robert and Mike were mainly going to slip bobber and lead core a lot is what they were going to do. I was going to try a few off the wall things. I was going to jig wrap a lot on some deeper water, some humps and stuff that have held big fish in the past. So as we progressed through the week, those guys were catching them on slip bobbers and pulling lead core. They were catching nice 25 to 29 inch fish. So I was a little bit excited, but at the same time I was a little nervous going in. I didn't catch a ton of fish pre-fishing, but those guys were, and you know, as you're working with the team, you don't want to go back into their spots and sting a fish or two just to give your confidence up. You know, some guys might. I just don't like to do that. So I was going to leave those spots alone. I figured I could keep fishing, and I could go to those spots come tournament day. Flame up. So I had some bad luck the last couple days going into this tournament. My trolling motor took a crap on me 2 days before, which wasn't terrible. I mean, we got it fixed and everything like that. Stuff happens. You can't really let it bother you. The next day, I had a quarter tank of gas. I thought I had more than what I had, ran out of gas. As we were trolling along, we got into one of the biggest lead core messes I've ever gotten into. All our lines got tangled up. It took myself, my dad, and Brock probably an hour and a half to get that untangled. But it was a moral victory to get it done. But while we were idling there, the motor just shut off and I was out of gas. So we ran all the way out there, got to fish for a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, got tangled up, fixed that for an hour and a half. Had to call Robert to pull us in.
Ready to rip. It's an awesome morning. I mean, my stomach feels like it's a tornado, but in a good way. I think that's why we do this.
So going into day one pre-fishing, drew a good co-angler. Chris lives on Green Bay. You know, I had lots of confidence. The guy could cast. We were going to slip bobber is what we were going to do. We were going to start off slip bobbering in the trees. I was a little nervous about it because we had done better when it was sunny and hot and flat dead calm in the trees. And it was going to be cloudy and windy. It wasn't going to be terrible, but that's never a good thing when you're fishing in trees. So that's what I did for the first couple hours, and we struggled all day basically. So at about 11:30 noon, I switched gears and me and Chris started trolling lead core. We ended up popping 2 fish pretty quick, like a 21 and a 20, which is good, which I thought we were going to get off to a good roll, but then it went dead again. So we struggled, you know, going in. And 2020 hindsight, as soon as that sun came out in the afternoon, I probably should have went back to my bobber fish. I just didn't. And I don't know why I didn't. I got wrapped up in trolling because we caught those 2 trolling. So should have maybe done that.
All right, guys, it's actually been a pretty big struggle. I knew it was going to be tough, but I didn't think it would be this tough. We haven't had a bite. We've caught some whitefish and stuff like that, but we haven't had a walleye bite yet. So we're going to switch it up here, do a little trolling for a little bit, and see what goes down. See if we can't pick up a few big fish here. You know, one other thing that happened to me on that first day is one of my spots where I'd caught a few nice fish. I went in there and there was 2 local boats there. They can fish there all they want. Pulled up, I said, how you doing? And the one boat said we got 9, the other one said we got 7. So it was a super small spot, only a 20, 30 yard spot, but they had pulled, you know, 16 fish off of there. So that kind of stacked my cards against me. I was hoping to pluck 1 or 2 out of there, which would have been a good start. All right, guys, we are just slip bobbering here in the trees. It's some gnarly stuff, but you got to get in there and dig them out of there. So we're just grinding. It's 8:30 in the morning, 8:45. We don't have any fish yet, no bites. So we'll just keep going away and see what happens. Should be interesting. It was never fast and furious during pre-fishing, so we're just gonna keep plugging away. Going into weigh-in, only had 2 fish. Obviously, I was super bummed out. You know, I had been climbing an angler a year, standings and stuff like that, so I was super bummed out. Thought I could have done better, but you know, it is what it is. But I knew we weren't necessarily out of it with the fish that we were catching. The next day, it was supposed to be sunny, hot, calm, and I knew if we could get those fish to turn on, we could pull in a bag of 25 plus pounds, and we'd be right back in it. So. Robert did a great job. First day, he actually went back to where me and Mike had started slip bobbering when that sun came out and popped a nice 28 and 24, but he only had a limited amount of time. So I was feeling pretty optimistic still going into day 2. So going into day 2, I drew a co-angler that I actually cashed a check with at Winnebago, John, and we were going to start on my second spot. We figured we would give Robert the best spot. He had the best chance of cashing a check. We were going to let him start on the number 1 spot there in the morning, so I went to the number 2 spot. Didn't have a ton of action until about 45 minutes to an hour in. You'll see it in the footage. Casted probably a little farther than I should have when you're casting through these trees and stuff like that. You should probably only cast, you know, 15, 20 feet. I probably casted 30 feet. Bobber went down. I got the fish. I worked the fish all the way back out. You know, it was a nice 26, 27. I don't think it would have touched 28, but it was a nice big fish to get me going. I told him not to net it, not to net it. It went down and got stuck in a tree literally right below the boat. I could see it shaking down there. I just couldn't quite get it with the net, couldn't get my bobber loose. So that was a big bummer. You know, you work that fish all the way out of there and then that happens. So it's a tough deal, but it's part of it. Ah, fuck, I got him all the way back to here. You want to reel up that other one? Come on out of there. Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah. He's down there. He's just wiggling on the log. I just got to try to get him up here somehow. A little bit intense. A little bit intense. Not quite sure how I'm going to do this. I can't quite get down there. That makes a guy feel good. You work so freaking hard for these bites, and then you get off in a tree when you get them 5 feet from the boat. Get them all the way out here. Casted right back in there, popped a nice 24-incher. About 2 seconds later, a lot of times when those trees, they go through in packs. So had one fish to start, and then we kind of went on the scramble. We trolled a little bit, didn't do too well, and then we went to a spot where I had caught some, you know, nicer fish, 19, 20-inch fish. Not the caliber we needed to really move up, but we ended up catching a few more and weighing 5 for almost 14 pounds the second day. So obviously I was super bummed out at my finish at Devil's Lake, but at the same time, you know, I enjoyed it. I had a great time. Woodland Resort is a great location there. They've got everything from a ramp to a bait shop to a restaurant to fish cleans, from cabins to hotels. I mean, they've got it everything there. Kyle was gracious enough to let us have one of the sheds so we could keep our boats inside hooked up the whole time. Didn't have to worry about anything getting wet or people looking at it. So it was a great experience overall. It was my first time to Devil's Lake. We did find out that we are going back to Devil's Lake for the championship next year. So we'll see what shakes down. You know, obviously it was my nemesis. Hopefully the only bad one I have this year. We're heading up to Lake of the Woods to see how we can do up there. One of the keys to why we were slip bobbering in there was accuracy. Obviously we were trying to get as close as we can to that brush, but not getting snagged. So one of the big things that I used was a 7-foot or 7.3 Fox River rod, spinning rod, which was great for casting. I mean, you could get it in there, get your accuracy, but then at the same time, when you needed to horse that fish out and not let it get down in the trees, you could really rely on that rod to pull it out of there. That wraps up this video, guys. We hope you like it. Please like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook and Instagram for exclusive content, and we hope to see you guys up at Lake of the Woods for the 4th and final stop of the National Walleye Tour.